All right, next up we're going to watch this video of deadlift and review for technique and weakness correction. So one thing that I notice right off the bat is as the bar comes off the floor, there's a bit of back rounding. It's subtle, but you can see that you're in a nice flat arched position as you start to generate tension off the floor. And then as this tension builds, you see a little bit of spinal flexion. The question is, why does that happen? Does that happen because you have a glute weakness and your body's shifting position to try to put the glutes in a more advantageous spot? Or are you physically not able to maintain that back position? Or are your hips simply too low at the start? I don't think your hips are too low at the start, because if you watch, your shoulders don't really come forward. It's just the hips come up. So your start position is fine. The question then is it a back strength issue or a glute issue? Now, that's kind of a non-question a little bit, because although it could potentially make some impact as far as the things that we do, most posterior chain exercises train the entire posterior chain to various extents. You could do something like a good morning, and your back strength and your glute strength are both going to be developed. I wouldn't recommend isolating at this point, just because we don't have enough information to be sure. Also interesting would be kind of what happens on the way up to this. I wonder if you see a similar issue happening with like 95% weights or even 90% weights. I would say it's more likely to be, I don't know. It may not change really your likelihoods just based on your limb lengths and proportions here. So basically what you need to do in terms of supplemental deadlifting is to train your posterior chain. So things like straight leg deadlifts, snatch grip straight leg deadlifts, good mornings, even RDLs and stuff like that are going to be good for you. If you have a particular weakness for your squat as well, say maybe it's a hip or glute weakness for the squat, then you'll focus a little bit harder on hips and glutes rather than low back. So also interesting would be to see if there's a disparity between your belted work and your beltless work. That could also help give you an indication as far as what's weak and what are you compensating for here. With that said, that's kind of my recommendation. That's the only real technical issue that I see from this video, and in terms of training it, you're going to want to focus on those supplemental lifts that work the posterior chain and give this a lot of time. Your flexion under load isn't enough that I would really be concerned about it, but it is there, and it is something that you're going to want to address and try to fix over time. I don't think you need to panic about it and really limit the weights that you're using or anything like that, but it is something that's going to allow you to deadlift more weight if you get this addressed.